plummeting in response to President Trump's escalating trade war. The president's imposing a 10% tariff on nearly all foreign imports, higher reciprocal tariffs on roughly 60 countries, and a 25% tariff on all foreign cars and auto parts. President Trump says the tariffs will boost American industries and jobs by driving companies to manufacture in the U.S., but right now we're seeing markets reacting negatively. The Dow's down more than 1,000 points right now at the open. Economists are warning these tariffs could cause higher inflation and a possible recession, with Americans forced to pay more for everything from produce to clothing, electronics to cars. Let's get right to ABC's chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, with more on that. And Rebecca, that seems to be the biggest concern right now, rising prices. So how dramatic could these increases be? And are there any particular areas where we will see a bigger impact than others?
Well, Diane, where we've already seen some impact is with cars. U.S. cars manufactured here oftentimes use imports in their parts from Mexico, from Canada, as well as all the imported cars that we buy here in the United States. And that has sent the cost of cars, according to many estimates, higher in light of these tariffs. So that's an area in a concrete way where people are already starting to see those price increases, and we'll continue to see them in the next handful of months. The other areas that we could see this in, really, it's across the board. Everything from food to clothing. We get a lot of clothing here in the United States from places like China, Vietnam, Mexico. Shoes also coming in from those places, toys. The other issue is pharmaceuticals. Our pharmaceuticals industry here, a lot of prescription drugs come from places like Ireland, Germany as well.
And Rebecca, we've seen markets pulling back over the past few weeks as conversations about a potential recession start to increase. Those fears are rising. Where does that picture look right now?
Well, the recession fears are certainly there, and they have been for some time. But when you look at the markets right now, what this stock market is reacting to, with the Dow opening down about 1,100 points, the S&P 500, the thing that's in most retirement savings accounts, that's down about 3.5% right now. The market is responding to the size of these reciprocal tariffs, because when you look at a country like China that we do a lot of business with, that 34% tariff plus the 20% tariff that we're also looking at, that is a big increase in costs for American businesses who import goods from China, and it's likely to translate to consumers paying more as well.
That said, Rebecca, the president says this is some short-term pain worth it for long-term gain, and he says this will help bring manufacturing back to the United States, jobs back to the United States. Could this pay off in the long run?
Well, that is the hope, but it is a long-term bet. And that's because companies who make manufacturing decisions are making them over the course of many years. If you're going to build a new factory here, you need to find a location, pay for that location, build the factory, and find enough people to employ in it. That is a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar promise.
And that is a nuclear deal with Iran. Remember, Trump himself walked out of that deal in 2018, but now he wants to sign a new one, presumably a better one. But he's not asking Iran to begin talks, he's threatening them. Let me quote what he said last week. If they don't make a deal, there will be bombing. It will be bombing the likes of which they have never seen before. So Trump is threatening to bomb Iran. And it's not just empty talk. The U.S. has moved B-2 bomber planes to Diego Garcia. Take a look at these satellite pictures. You can see at least 6 B-2 bombers. These can carry the heaviest American bombs and nukes. Weapons that can strike targets deep underground. Targets like Iranian nuclear sites. And now look at the location. Diego Garcia is a joint US-UK base in the Indian Ocean. It's around 3,900 kilometers from Iran.
After 2 women were shot and killed in Compton.
Gigi Garcia is live there with more on what we know about the victims. Gigi.
And we've confirmed tragically that the victims are a mother and a daughter. The mother thought to be about 45 years old. Her daughter only 22. Take a look at the video. It was about 7:05 last night here in Compton. The mother was driving with her daughter as a passenger, and they were stopped at a red light on Central and Caldwell. That's when a dark-colored car pulled up right next to them and opened fire, shooting both the mother and the daughter. Now, the mother appeared to get out of the running car. She may have been trying to get away from that shooter, but she collapsed and died right there on the street. Meanwhile, the car, again, that was running, crossed the intersection and stopped only when it crashed into a curb and a light pole. The daughter dead inside the passenger seat. And now the search is on for a killer. Both women believed to live in the Compton area. If you have any information on the shooting that happened just after 7 o'clock last night, leaving a mother and a daughter dead, please call the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Reporting live this morning, I'm Gigi Graciette. Back to you.
Madera said that this was a man with a grudge against large pharmacies, apparently. They said that he walked into the Walgreens store there and then gunned down an employee. The brief surveillance video from inside the store, pretty frightening, as the suspect looks directly at the security camera, waves, then shot it out. Police say he then killed Eric Velasquez, an employee that he did not know. Officers say he also shot at other employees. No one else was hit. This is the mugshot released of Narciso Fernandez. The Madera police chief says as officers arrived on scene, Fernandez was still in the parking lot.
He was reloading. That was a statement made by him. What were you doing at the car when they arrived? And he said he was reloading. And basically, he knew it was over by the amount of cops and the amount of lights, so he gave up without a further shootout.
Police chief saying that the store employee that was killed had actually applied to the police department. He leaves behind his wife and 2 children.
A nurse desperately clings on to a newborn in a maternity centre hundreds of miles away from Myanmar in Southeast Asia, where widespread devastation is being felt the day after a huge earthquake with a magnitude of 7.7. The country's military-led government released these pictures. They say the death toll has surpassed 1,000, with many more injured. In neighbouring Thailand, more casualties. In Bangkok, rescue workers race against time to find those buried beneath the rubble.
We won't be able to let it pass 72 hours for the hope that we are still able to search the survivors.
International aid is arriving in Myanmar, with India among the
is pressing ahead with enacting its tariffs tomorrow on imports coming into the United States. Many experts warn that the prices will go up for everyday Americans, but Trump claims the tariffs will free the country from foreign reliance. Scripps News White House correspondent Haley Bull is live for us at the White House. And Haley, as of right now, it seems like not a whole lot of people know a whole lot about what potentially could be coming tomorrow. What's the latest?
Yeah, Andrew, there are a lot of questions about the shape and form and methods that these tariffs take, but what there is a consensus on is that this is expected to be a major announcement out of this White House, what President Trump has dubbed, quote, Liberation Day. The White House saying today that the tariffs are expected to be effective immediately, and we are told from an administration official that the broad stroke decisions have been made, but that they are fine-tuning details. That announcement expected tomorrow afternoon from the Rose Garden. The president saying last night he had made a determination. The White House saying he has been with his tariff and trade team today, perfecting that. The administration largely views tariffs as a way to boost manufacturing domestically, jobs, and revenue, and that is important as they are also looking to pursue his Trump-era tax cuts and an aggressive tax policy. Now, a source familiar with the administration's thinking also indicates to us that the decisions are still being made, but that the senior officials are really in alignment on why Trump wants to do tariffs. Another source familiar with the thinking here describes 3 considerations that have been on the table throughout this to us. One, reciprocal rates by country, another, universal rates essentially by bucket, and a third, a 20% universal rate So that could always change based on the president's decision. Now, a Washington trade expert we spoke with says the expectation is that these are going to be more broader, more comprehensive than what was initially expected. And that makes it difficult for some entities impacted to prepare. A lot of people waiting to see what this looks like. And the White House has certainly been pressed on concerns about what the impact for consumers could be. And they defend it with a positive outlook, saying this.
The market is a snapshot in time. Yesterday, Dow futures were up, and there's been a lot of talk about the market, and it was up yesterday. So, look, the president wants to ensure that all Americans make out well, particularly Main Street. That's the focus of these tariffs. But as I've said repeatedly, just like they were in his first term, Wall Street will be just fine.
And now, Andrew, this will be a sweeping announcement by all indicators, but it is one facet of his larger tariff agenda. We are looking at these tariffs tomorrow on top of auto tariffs expected to take effect. Whether a pause on parts of those fentanyl-related tariffs continues, that remains unclear. Steel and aluminum tariffs have already taken effect, and Trump has indicated he also wants to pursue tariffs when it comes to pharmaceuticals and the lumber industry as well. So certainly a lot of questions about how this all shakes out.
Yeah, so Haley, with still so much uncertainty out there, do you have a sense yet of how other countries are preparing for these potential tariffs?
Yeah, certainly other countries have been watching this closely. They are talking about this, and they have also made clear that they are preparing to take retaliatory action. Now, the White House indicating that the president is always open to phone calls and that the president and his team have received calls from a number of countries, but they have also reiterated their view that these tariffs are a way to counter what they view as unfairness in some of the trade policies. Now, you have heard from countries like Mexico, the UK, the EU, Canada, and China, who have indicated that they will take steps in response to this. We have seen the leaders of Canada and Mexico having conversations today, as well as economic officials this week from South Korea, Japan, and China talking. So that is significant. One of the questions here that remains, Andrew, is just how many countries could be impacted by this if the president does, in fact, pursue a country-by-country reciprocal tariff approach.
Haley Bull at the White House ahead of what could be a really significant Wednesday there. Haley, thank you.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came over the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory, and a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
Yahweh.